What is up, you amazing people? It is I, Nima, and today I want to talk about a game that I've been playing for quite a while now. I've invested many an hour to this game, and it is Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. This game just recently got released on the Switch, and honestly, I think it's a good starting off point for anyone who's interested in this series. Now, this is a series that I've been interested in for quite a while, but really haven't had a good opportunity to get into it, as Trails from Cold Steel 1 and 2 are really difficult to find on modern consoles, and 3 and 4 kind of feel like you're missing out on the first part of the story. So, Trails from Zero I felt was a great jumping in point. But let's talk about that. But first, I want to ask you all to please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. It's amazing. We're at 550 now. I think we can just keep going. We can get more and more subscribers and build this community up. With Trails from Zero, there's a ton of good things to look at, but I just want to start at the basics. What's the story? What's going on? Anyway, you play as Lloyd Bannings, and you're returning home from about a 3-year stint while you were learning to become a detective. And you find out early on that Lloyd's brother was also a detective before he passed away in the line of duty. But now that you're back at your hometown, you're excited to follow those footsteps and to pick up where he left off. But like always, life has a surprise for him, as he is now being requested into a new division, a different division. A division that really focuses on being more friendly to the average citizen, so to speak. So in Crossbell, where the story takes place, the police department isn't really known to be favorites of the citizens that live there. In fact, most of the time they rely on the Bracer Guild, and they help the citizens more with their problems. Well, this is a big issue for the PR of the police department, so they decided to create this division that kind of focuses on odd jobs and mercenary work and kind of work outside of the lines of a normal police department. Now, there's multiple reasons why this becomes effective. You don't really get to see that at first, but essentially there's so much corruption in the police department that they need a division that works outside of the police department. So that's where a lot of this game kind of takes off from. And if you ask me, their name is way too close to something else. I don't know, the SSS is so close to being problematic. Like, if you had a lazy person refer to this and just didn't really want to give their whole effort into, the SSS, or Special Support Section, could be misinterpreted. Anyway, now that you're a full-fledged member, you actually get to meet more of the people in your party. There's only 3 other ones besides you. Ellie McDowell. Now, she is an heiress to a political dynasty, although you don't know that for quite a while. And she is also subsequently your support and long-range attacker. Then you have Randy Orlando, who is an ex-porn star. No, I'm just kidding. But doesn't his name sound like a porn? Randy Orlando, huh? Yeah. Anyway, he's an ex-soldier. He's kind of the cool one, but a little bit of a womanizer. But, kind of the leader. He's the oldest one out of the whole party. And then for the youngest member of the party, Tio Plato, she's really just kind of known as the young kid, but she is also your healer and also a genius when it comes to electronics and things of that nature. So anyway, much of this game really has you delve into the corruption that's happening within Crossbell City, as it is kind of been devoid of any power, and all of a sudden a lot of prosperity hit. A lot of commerce and trade hit this area, and just say the structure wasn't ready for that. There wasn't political power in place like there normally would be, or a government or corporation. And this is honestly where I really start to just get enthralled with this game and love it, because I love kind of real life scenarios here, as we're looking at multiple groups trying to take over this area. And you're kind of right smack dab in the middle between a bunch of different groups. Some that you don't see coming, some that work with each other that you're not aware of. The bad guys sometimes turn out to be the good guys. You can't always trust the good guys because they have ties with the bad guys. And at that same time, you find yourself a little more focused on being in competition with the Bracer Guild, as they seem to just make you look bad all the time, and they seem to outperform you in every way, and it appears to be that you are in just direct competition with them. Now again, I absolutely love this story. I love kind of real-to-life scenarios that happen in some RPGs where they are complex, and there's a lot of depth to them, and there's almost edge of mystery where you're trying to figure out whose intentions are true and whose intentions are self-motivated. And so it's fantastic. Now, the characters themselves and the dialogue and the banter, I think, is also amazing. The writing in this game is fantastic, as you can see the characters kind of start off being not cold, but they're not very close to each other. They're all from different backgrounds. They all have different personalities, so it would make sense that they're not just gonna be, chummy all of a sudden. But as the game goes on, you can see them become closer, and you can see the interactions between them become less mechanical and more like friends. Now, the combat in this game is relatively basic for most RPGs. The only difference is you have some different abilities as far as pre-combat. If you can get the jump on an enemy and take them unawares, then you can do something called a team rush. You also have a straight advantage as you get about 2 more hits than they do from the get. So there's a lot of advantages to planning out how you're going to go after an enemy. Well, once in combat, you do have a limit break of sorts, and this is called an S break, where you can kind of choose who does the attack. You can actually do all 4 of them at the same time, and this is grid-based, but you have pretty much free-flowing movement throughout the battle. You can kind of choose as far as you go. Now, there are limitations on how far. Like, if you're trying to attack an enemy who's all the way across the screen, you won't be able to actually do it. Your character will walk about halfway there and then stop. And there's the end of your turn. So it follows much in line of like the Disgaea series and some of those games. Now, I have to say another part that I just really enjoy about this game is customizing your equipment. I'm one of those people who will sit there at the equip screen for longer than I should, kind of balancing out what is the best equipment to run. I'm often the one who's going off the beaten path so I can try to find more equipment. I really enjoy just the grind aspect of it and the ability to hunt equipment. Like, that's, for me, is what makes an RPG an RPG. But this game has more to it than just that. As yes, the battle is pretty simple. Now, there is some, incentives to do combos, quote unquote, and there is some, magic in the form of arts, and there's skills as well. You have all of that as, just your basic to-go RPG aspects, but it's also wrapped up in, this almost cozy type world. And it's very hard to explain that. I think the graphics for this game are spot on for what it is. I never had any sort of performance problems, no crashing issues. And ultimately, I think that's just because of the graphics and the style that they chose. Now, the graphics and the audio and the presentation in general, I think is done just perfect because this game is actually really heavy. There's a lot of depth, complexity, and ultimately sadness in this game, but you don't really experience it as much because you're kind of in this happy-go-lucky world, if you will. And I don't mean that as characters are bouncing like it's a Mario game, but I mean the town just looks quaint. The people are all nice, and the character design is basic yet detailed. It's not over the top, but it works really well for the game. As I've been playing, I've really realized just why so many people love this series. This game is fantastic. I think this is probably my favorite Legend of Heroes game that I've played so far, and I'm not done with it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm about 45 hours in, and honestly, at times it feels like I'm just ramping up. So I don't know exactly how long this game is. Forever would be my answer. But it just, I don't know. It's one of those games that is really fun to play. It's really fun to be just enthralled in this world where everything seems to be cozy, but on the outside of it, it's very corrupted, very dirty, very dark. And I don't know. I love a game like that has some realism to it. I don't always love the story of the big bad who's going to come in and end the world because they somehow have the power to do that. I really like the story that is wrapped in some realism and corruption and corporatism and politics and all of that kind of dark world that I think it's more relatable to a lot of people nowadays. They don't really expect a dragon to come down and just burn up the world. I mean, sometimes I pray for that, but it's not what we really expect to happen. Without a doubt, this game definitely gets my stamp of approval. I would advise anyone to check this game out. It's been one of my favorite RPGs this year, and that's really difficult because there's been a lot of great RPGs, and there's even more coming. So it's a great year for RPGs. I apologize, my voice is going out as we're doing this, and I didn't even realize how bad it was. If you haven't noticed, I've had to stop every 10 seconds so that I can clear my throat and I can actually talk because it's going quickly. But anyway, guys, if I had to rank this, I would say it's close to a 9, but I'm going to say an 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. It's a great game. I'm glad that the community can finally play this game, as it was released in 2010 and it's now gotten its re-release. I have to thank NIS of America for hooking me up with the code. This game does come out September 27th, so you got about a week before it comes out. Anyway, guys, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. Like always, I'm wishing you health, wealth, and above all, I hope you're truly happy because you make me happy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.